Hello, this is Lindsay McNamara, and this is my presentation on what I have learned since I've been in SPS as far as ethics go. So, my screen isn't switching. There we go. Background info. So, the story about me, I guess. You could say I started out at the University of Illinois in Chicago. I majored in English and anthropology, but while I was there, I was in a program called the Chicago Civic Leadership Certificate Program, and I started working with local nonprofits, writing various documents for them, and that's really when I first got involved and learned my passion for working with nonprofits. So that's how I found out about DePaul University and the School of SPS, and my focus is actually in healthcare administration while I'm here. I want to work for a charity nonprofit, such as St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, American Cancer Society, different organizations such as that. So, why did I choose SPS? Well, I knew after I graduated that I wanted to work in the public service field, and I realized that I really didn't want to move apartments, and I was already living in Chicago, and I learned about this great program at DePaul, so I thought it'd be a really great opportunity for me, and I was really excited when I got accepted, and it's really helped me on my path to find who I am and what I want to do for the rest of my life. So, what I'm going to do now, after I graduate and get done with this class, is I've been on some very serious job hunting for the past 6 months or so, and as everybody I'm sure in this class knows, as well as me, that this market is just pretty awful out there, and I'll probably be dedicating the next couple weeks to couple months of my life to finding that perfect job for me and getting myself in that work position, and I really just can't wait to get myself out there and do that. So that's my background. So let's get on to the things I've learned. Here's an overview of what I'm going to go over in these next couple slides. I will look at what I've learned from fellow classmates and from professors, and then from my study abroad. I went to Cuba while I was at DePaul. Yeah, I'm just going to take a look at the different things I've learned from various different aspects of being in the program. Everything from the classmates to the professors, all the way until, going to another country. There's so many things you learn from all those various aspects, and I've been so lucky to be blessed in all of those areas with great situations and great experiences. Largely due to the people involved, and I just want to thank everybody that's involved with that. So let's go on and see. So, things I've learned from my peers. And the biggest thing I've learned from my peers ethically is to put your passions into action. And I say this because there are so many people in our program that are extremely passionate about things, and they are out there doing stuff. And I feel like that's really ethically important because you could be totally passionate about it, but you could just sit at home and watch the news about it or keep yourself updated on it, but not really ever do anything about it. And I think it's really great that so many of my peers have inspired me to go out there and make a difference and make a change. And the things you see on the screen right now are just two projects that have been done recently through the program that are enacted and put together and just really put into action through people that are currently in the SPS program. I'm pretty happy with my ethical guidelines or ethical examples, I should say, that I've learned from my peers. I really feel like I'm going to leave this program knowing that I have the ability and the knowledge to put my passions and what I believe in and the things I want to change into action in this world. And I'm really glad that my peers have really showed me that I can do that. So from my professors, going in a totally different route is something really important that I've learned from them is never accept what you consider to be a truth in this world. And you see that in a lot of ethical leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't accept that blacks should be treated less than whites and so on and so forth. And it seems like such a rudimentary and basic thing to follow, but not a lot of people can get past the acceptance phase. They're like, yeah, I can see how it's wrong, but it's how it's done, and that's how it should stay. Well, I actually had a really great professor, Professor Diamond. He really pushed me and my abilities and how I think about things, and he really drove me into my capstone project, which is pretty much never been done before. And what I'm looking at is health literacy levels in the Pilsen area in Chicago, and I'm comparing it to asthma management and whether or not these doctors are taking in consideration the health literacy levels of these patients, and when they send them home with these asthma diagnoses, whether or not they're retaining anything and whether or not they're being able to manage their health through the resources they're giving them. And so what I've learned is that 60% of the residents I interviewed spoke Spanish as their main language. And of those 60, only 25 had a degree past a high school degree. And only 10% of them understood what the doctors gave them. And the most interesting thing I found out was that even the English-speaking residents didn't know anywhere or have any resources or felt they could go somewhere to get more resources on asthma management. And I don't know, I just felt like this is something that I am really excited about and passionate about, and I'm glad that I've had professors tell me, no, you don't have to think this way, and there is a way to go through it. And what I'm hoping to prove with this is that there needs to be more action in helping people with health literacy, especially in ESL neighborhoods. And I can't wait to see the final results of my paper so that I can put this into action like I've learned from my peers, and it's going to be exciting. So that is what I've learned from my professors, is never accept what's considered a truth in this world. So what study abroad has taught me is one really important thing I feel like it's taught me is that I should see the world through multiple lenses. And when I say that, I bring this picture up because some people will look at this picture and they'll say, oh my gosh, and this is a picture from when I was in Cuba. They'll say, oh my gosh, look at those beautiful colors. Other people will look at it and say, oh my gosh, look at the crumbling infrastructure, or they'll say, oh wow, look at how all the old cars on the street. And there's so many different perspectives of people. When they look at this picture, 100 people could look at this picture and get 100 different reactions. And that's how I felt when I was in Cuba. I just couldn't believe the different reactions that people were having to different situations, and then to see the reactions of the people living in Cuba. I mean, it just really, it changed my life, and I can never, appreciate, or I can never explain into words, like I'm having a problem right now, the things I've learned from studying abroad, and it was an amazing experience, and I loved it. So yeah, I've learned to look at the world in my own perspective, but which is so important. Everybody needs to have their own perspective on the world, but I learned I need to be able to also see the world through other people's eyes so that I understand their situation, and at least I can't, maybe sometimes I can't understand it, but at least I'll have the ability to listen to them and hear their side and what they see through their lens. Sorry. Another thing that was really important to me that I learned while I was in Cuba was to remain positive but not accepting of bad situations. And really, I learned this from the Cuban citizens and the Cuban population. I mean, they were just so inspiring that I've never been in a place before that has been. I want to say both extremes and explain that, because when I say both extremes, I mean it's amazingly beautiful, and yet it's crumbling to the ground, and the people are amazingly positive, but they're also severely depressed. And it's I've that's one thing I took from them, is like there is this positive outlook that you have to have on life, but you don't have to accept it. You can change it if you want to. And I think that's really important, that cuz some people are not accepting, but they're not positive. And some people are accepting and they just don't care. And there needs to be, that drive. You need to remain optimistic and positive, but you need to know that you don't have to accept every situation in its entirety, and you can change it if you want to. And I think that a lot of the Cuban population is looking for that change now, and they're excited. They feel like it's coming really soon, and I think a lot of people should learn from them and learn from their outlook and perspective on life. So that was really important aspect of what I learned from going to Cuba. I could never explain to you how much the citizens had an impact on my perspective and my personality and how I see things, just because sometimes I think I want to be more like them. And it's been a good time since I've been at DePaul, and I'm really glad I got the opportunity to go to Cuba and be there and see these things and learn these things and have the chance to change my perspective and learn from other cultures. So this is the end of the presentation, and I hope I've taught you guys a little bit about myself and about my ethics, and I hope all of you guys have had the same positive experience since you've been at DePaul, because I really feel like I've gained so much, and not just from you know my classroom, but also in myself, in my personality, in my emotional, you know, and spiritual self. I feel like I've changed and grown and learned and become a better person through this school. And I look forward to listening to all of your guys' presentations. So this is, like I said, this is the end, the El fin de ende. I don't know how to say all these. These are all different languages, but enjoy them, and I'd like to hear you guys say them if you can. Bye, guys.